Hello, how are you? Milan here. I have a lot of new subscribers here. My last video wasn't that long ago, and had a lot of views, and it generated some new subscribers. So I'm gonna introduce myself again. I don't know if I actually ever did an official introduction about myself. So welcome if this is your first time or your second time or whatever. My name is Milan. I am a French Canadian. I live just outside of the city of Cornwall, which is on the border of the US. I'm in Ontario in Canada. So Ottawa is about 45 minutes from me. Montreal is about an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on the traffic. So we're very centrally located as far as, going places, having things to do, because Cornwall's a really small town. The only craft shop we have here, well, actually, we have a fabric store that I believe sells yarn now, but I haven't been there in a little while. Then we have Michael's. That is it. That is it. If I want some decent yarn, I have to drive to Ottawa, which is, not terrible. Anyway, I live on the outskirts of town in a little village. I don't even know if you can call it that, a hamlet. I'm not even sure. But I have a 20-acre property, which I do nothing with because I don't have time or money. I live in a little cottage style house, which I love. I'm a plant mom, as you can clearly see. And my son's just texting me right now. He's trying to declutter a little bit, and he's trading stuff for plants, which is so funny because the kid didn't have any plants when he left home. And I bought him one last year, and now he's plant crazy like his mom. So that's kind of fun. I'm mostly a knitter. I knit all the things. I love to knit. I knit every day. If I don't knit in a day, it's not complete. It's not a complete day. I spin. I sometimes crochet. I weave this much. What else do I do? I just like making things. Pretty much if I can make it, I will try to make it. When I run out of soap, soap to wash, I text my friend Louise and I run over to her place and we make a batch of soap. So I make my own soap. I make my own deodorant. I'm wearing a patchouli lime right now and it smells so good. I make my own chapsticks. I've recently been experimenting with shampoo bars and conditioner bars. I have a really long hair and I was worried that it wouldn't do well with my hair, but so far so good. So I've been looking into how to make those, but it might be more trouble than it's worth. You can find shampoo bars. I go to the pharmacy here, it's a Jean Coutu, and they have, some decent sized bars. They're pretty big. I have bought some online and they smell really nice, but the conditioner one kind of falls apart. Anyway, I'm going off on a really big tangent. Anyway, all that to say that I'm conscious about the environment, try not to use plastics, blah, blah, blah. If that interests you, maybe I can talk about it some more, but for now, I will leave it. I'm a knitter. Capital K. I love to knit. I love to make things. So if you're down, I hope I can inspire you in some way to make something new, maybe try something new. Maybe I'll, share my process when I make chapsticks. It's super easy. Anyway, I think that's about it about myself. Oh yeah, I'm a shift worker. I'm an emergency service dispatcher. So I work alternating days and nights. I have a lot of time off because we work 12-hour shifts. I love to travel. That's my second love. Knitting is my first love. Traveling is my second love. Traveling would probably be my first love if I could afford it, to travel all the time. Because I work shift work and I've been working where I am for, it's 18 years. I have a lot of time off, a lot of vacation, a lot of other different time banks and stuff like that. So I take a week off pretty much every month. My short week. So we work a 5-day week and a 2-day week. And I often take my 2-day week off like at least once a month. So if I could afford to travel that often, I would. So travel is my first. So let's talk about the stuff you really came for at this point. I've already I'm at almost 6 minutes of just yammering. So I'm gonna start with what I'm wearing because I love this. It's the Fernwood Cardigan and it's a pattern by Jane Richmond. I put a big shawl collar on mine because I think it's really cozy. The version I made is way too big. So I cinch it with, I crocheted a little belt here that goes on it because it's just ginormous. Oh yeah, check this out. My friend Eric bought that for me for Christmas last year and I love it. I wear it all the time. So anyway, so my Fernwood cardigan, oversized, cinch it with a belt. It's supposed to have buttons, but I don't have the buttons yet. They're being made by my friend Nancy of Cabin Design Co. I'll link her shop in the description box because she made this little product for the temperature blanket and I love it. I've never made a temperature anything, but I might next year because she designed this and I think I need to use one. So I need to knit or crochet either a temperature scarf or a temperature blanket, one or the other, just so I can use this little thing. Anyway, Fernwood cardigan. Go make one. It's super cozy. I was actually thinking of making another one, but like a really long one, almost like a house coat, but not a house coat. You know what I mean? Like a really long, down to the knees kind of cardigan. I just use the Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick. I've never worked with this color, so I kind of dig. It's like a teal. Anyway, that is all. The shawl collar was not hard to do. You just do short rows and you build it up in the back. So easy peasy. Finished things that I've finished since my last episode. I spoke to you guys last about the little hand warmers. I had finished one, I think, in my last episode. So I finished the second one. I gave them to my coworker, Carly. That's who I made them for. She's always cold at work and she really likes them. So here's a photo of those. I used Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, I think in a black. And then I had the Surrey alpaca one, I think as the fuzzy yarn. Maybe I can just look it up. One moment. Yeah, so I used Knit Picks Surrey Dream solids in the like gray fuzzy color. And then the, yeah, Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. They turned out really cute. I'm gonna link my project page on there because I just wrote down what I did. I didn't follow a pattern, I just made it up and I wrote down what I did in case you're interested in making some. The second thing I finished is Jacob's Chesterfield Sweater. It's a pattern by Julie Hoover, published in some Brooklyn Tweed. Well, it's through Brooklyn Tweed anyway. It was a bottom-up sweater, which I don't love the bottom-up construction because you can't try it on, but it turned out really nice. I did the cable cast on instead of the tubular because the tubular is complicated, but you can't even tell. It still makes a really neat edge. But the one thing that I didn't notice right away that I wish I had is that all the ribbing in the whole sweater is 1x1, but the collar's 2x2. And I really wish that I had just done a 1x1. So Jacob's coming to visit. I think he's gonna come tomorrow. I'm off this week and I had all kinds of plans, but then Mother Nature decided that there was gonna be a storm today. It's not snowing at all yet, but they're calling for ice rain a little bit later. So a lot of my plans got canceled. So Jacob's supposed to come tomorrow and I want him to try this on because another issue that I was having when I tried it on is that she put short rows like in the body, right under the armpits here. And then she puts short rows in the back of the neck here. But you know, sometimes when there's no short rows, you get that pucker like right here in the front. I feel like that's gonna happen in the back with the short rows. So I may need to rip it out a little bit and take out the short rows in the sweater. But other than that, it made like a really nice fabric. I don't know if you can see that. I blended the Cascade 220 and the Knitting for Olive Merino, which was lovely, but this sweater is pretty heavy. I don't know if Jacob's gonna like that. But hopefully it fits and he likes it and he wears it. My hair's a little bit crazy today. I blow dried it upside down, and when I, you know, tilted my head back, my hair was like humongous. So it's a really poofy, but at least I washed my hair. I'm presentable for today. Okay, stop talking. I'm just talking ridiculous stuff today. The next thing I finished is another Sophie shawl. And this one is made out of some hand spun. So it was the Malabrigo, I talked about it last time. The colorway was Diana, and it is the colored part. And then I plied it with some black merino that I spun. So this whole project is hand spun. And it made these colors. Like, it looks kind of weird right now because you could see all the stripes on the camera. But when you wear it, it looks nice. I kind of dig it. I like the Sophie scarf because then, or the Sophie shawl rather, because you can just measure, you can just weigh the amount of yarn you have, and then you increase until you're at half, and then you start your decreases. Sometimes my hair is annoying. Anyway, so see, it looks kind of nice when it's on, and I like it. And I got to use some hand spun because I have a lot of hand spun that I've not used yet. So I'm trying to think of cute little projects that I can use for all these single skeins of hand spun that I have sitting in my stash. So if you have any ideas, please don't be shy. Leave them in the comments. I beg you. All right. What else did I make? Why it says headband? Oh yeah, okay. I could not remember what I was talking about. So I made this little headband for my friend Nancy, and it's like loosely based on the, you know, the I-cord edging of the Sophie scarf. But I just had this idea. I wanted to make Nancy something cute because she makes things for me sometimes. And she wears bright red lipstick sometimes when she goes out, when she wants to look fancy. So I made this cute little headband for her. I haven't gifted it to her yet, but it's wrapped, so I can't show you. So I didn't follow a pattern. I just made it up as I went. I assume her head is relatively close to the same size as mine. And so I made it to fit me, and hopefully it fits her. And hopefully I get to see her soon so I can give it to her. Nancy, if you watch this before I see you, I'm sorry because I spilled beans. So you're getting this little headband. Anyway, that is all for my finished items so far since the last time I was here. I talked to you guys about the Sequoia hat that I wanted to cast on. So I finally started that. I got my Brooklyn Tweed Arbor yarn, and the green one, I bought a green and a kind of a slate gray yarn. So I'll use the slate gray for mine. And this one is for my friend Leanne. She's kind of a green obsessed. And it's knitting up really well. I did a little boo-boo. Well, I thought I did a boo-boo. So I ripped it all back. I had probably the first repeat done. And I ripped it all back because I thought I missed a cable. Or I made an extra cable. But when I got to the bottom of it, I realized I didn't make a mistake. So I had ripped it all out for nothing. But anyway, so this is how it's looking. I'm really enjoying this because it's pretty in the light cables, and it's a fairly easy cable pattern. I think it's, maybe you can see it better without the needles sticking out. Yeah, so this green is nice. And I whipped out my home row bag. Isn't this bag so nice? I coveted this bag forever, and then I finally got it in an update. So figured I would use it. So there we go. That's project number 1. Project number 2 is, let's go with the Sockhead cowl. So I have this in this bag here. I don't know if you can see the colors really well, but my bag gets dirty. Anyway, I'm obsessed with these colors. Like this, what do you even call this? It's like a mustard, but not really. With this pink and the darker pink and this taupey color. I'm like, what can I make with these colors? Like buy these colors and then knit some kind of color work piece, right? So I'm knitting a Sockhead cowl. Oh, I dropped some stitches, no. I have to put those back on after. Okay, I'll need my glasses, I think. This is out of some hand-dyed yarn that I dyed when I was at dye camp. It's an Indigo Dragonfly. She's a dyer out of Halliburton. Anyway, so dye camp. And this is the fiber. So it's 60% superwash merino, 20 silk, and 20 yak. It's very nice. So I'm making this for one of the girls at work. Allie, was talking about going for dog walks the other day, and I don't know, her head being cold. I'm like, do you ever wear anything in your neck? Because maybe I should knit you a cowl. And she was like, yes, you should. And yeah, so I'm knitting her this cowl. And the funny story is I'm doing a no buy January. It's kind of like a financial reset because at the end of last year, I was like spending money for nothing. I don't know why, just buying stupid stuff on Amazon and whatever. And if I want to travel, I have to be careful. As like a single female who's solely responsible for all her expenses, all the house expenses, the mower, the blower, whatever, I have to be more careful. So we made a deal. She's going to buy me a book that I want, and I'm going to knit her this cowl. Ta-da! So I get a book that I want, and I don't have to buy it. So it falls into my no buy thing. Anybody else ever do a no buy? Let me know. I would like to know how that went. It's not the first time I do it. I'm definitely not buying yarn. No clothes. Not that I buy clothes often. No books, because that seems to be my new addiction. I have a lot of yarn. Sometimes I buy some if I have like a specific project in mind, but I don't buy yarn just to buy yarn. But books has been like an issue for me. Especially when you go on Book Outlet. Have you guys ever been on Book Outlet? It's like crazy. I don't know if it's just a Canadian thing. It's the .ca website, if I'm not mistaken. They have really cheap books. So you go on there, you spend $50, you get like 5 or 6 books. So easy. But I also had to have 2 new shelves put into my bookcase, which is a little bit bonkers. So now it looks like this. So there only used to be like the 3 really big ones. And now I took all my technical books or whatever, like yoga stuff or health stuff, the big books and binders and stuff, and they're on the floor under the bookcase. And now I have 5 shelves. It's a problem. So not buying books, no yarn, no going out for dinner, no Starbucks. I mean, there are obviously exceptions. I need to buy food, stuff like that. Anyway, so that's no buy January. But I found a loophole. If you barter, right? It's yarn from my stash that I dyed that I already had, so I didn't have to spend money. Anyway, okay, moving on to the next project, which you saw probably on my last episode. I just wanted to show you this yarn. I'm just loving the way it's knitting up. It's very even for hand-dyed yarn. And this is yarn that my friend Svan sent me last year when we did an Advent exchange. So just wanted to share this yarn, which is very nice. Voile Verve, is that how you say it's fun? Is the V still a V? I know the W is a V. Anyway, and it's dyed by Sylvia. 75% superwash virgin wool and 25% nylon. It's very nice. I just really love how it's knitting up. And, you know, like I've got the heels done already. I have a lot of the leg done, and I have all this left. So if I'm doing Advent exchanges, somebody's getting some of this. All right, next. Oh, and this is in my little bag from my friend Mary. I asked her to make a bigger bag and she came up with a prototype. So hopefully that one will be ready soon because I really like this bag. I really love the wax canvas. I don't know, maybe it's just like a luxury. I don't know. It's really nice. But Doorstopper Designs. I'll link her in my in the thing there, down there. What else did I do? Oh yeah. So this is the classic Raglan by Jane Richmond that I made Jacob a little while ago. And he found that the neckline had stretched out. So because it's one of those where you pick up and knit the neckline after, I just ripped it out last night and put on the new neckline. I still have to block it because you can see like it looks weird. But I wanted him to try it out too before I wove in the ends, just to make sure that it's cinched in enough. But I love this sweater. I think I want to make myself one. I know she has a women's version, which I've already made, but it shrunk. It didn't shrink. I got bigger and it doesn't fit me anymore. Well, it fits me if I want to look like a sausage, but it's probably in my best interest to make a new one. And it's about, I think mine's the same color, but mine was made out of, this one's Cascade 220 Heathers. Mine was made out of the fisherman's wool, I think, if I'm not mistaken, but I made that a long, long time ago. Now the things I want to knit soon that I plan on casting on, I want to make the terrazzo neck, the Dicky by Petite Knits. And I'm going to use some fisherman's wool. I have the dark brown that I'm going to be using to make my grandpa cardi that I'm going to replicate. So that's going to get cast on soon. I just need a little bit more brain space. And there's been a lot going on in my brain right now. So I want to be able to like focus on it so that I don't mess it up, because I'm not following a pattern for that one. I'm just making it up as I go. I have the lighter oatmeal fisherman's wool by Lion Brand that I will probably use to make the terrazzo neck. I was going to use the leftover of the Cascade that I'd used for Jacob's sweater, but I'll bring it back and I'll get a store credit maybe, or a refund, and it'll be money in my wallet, back in my wallet, which is good. Maybe I'll use it to buy books. Isn't that crazy? So that's about all the knitting chat I have for now. I wanted to know, like, I have a lot of knit stuff. I have a lot of shawls. I have a lot of hats, and I have a lot of sweaters. Have you ever reached a point where you felt like you had enough? Kind of like it's really hard to justify knitting a new sweater or casting on a new shawl or a new hat because you already have so many. What do you guys do with your old stuff? Like, I have sweaters that I knit a while ago that I don't fit into anymore. What do you do with them? Do you give them away? Do you gift them? Do you rip them out? Do you sell them? I don't know. I feel like a lot of my knits have memories tied into them, right? I don't know if you're like that, but I feel like I can't get rid of them because they either remind me of something, or I bought the yarn somewhere when I was traveling. I don't know. Is it just me? But I feel bad casting on new stuff. Let me know if that's ever happened to you and how you deal with it. If you sell, gift, rip out to reknit something else, I would like to know. I need some tips. Please save me. Save me from all my woolly things. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and like, this is all the knitting stuff we have. The rest is going to be about books. So if that doesn't interest you, then thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time. Go make something that makes you happy, and I'll see you next time. But for those of you who are interested in the book talk, I read 117 books last year. So I say read, I mean, I read and listened to. I have Audible, I have Libby. So total 117. But physical books, I read 38. So 38 physical books and the rest were all audio. I listen to audiobooks when I do pretty much everything. When I go blow the driveway, when I cut the grass, when I do dishes, when I cook, when I knit, when I drive. Yeah, all the things. I always have an audiobook on. I almost don't listen to music anymore because I always have a book on the go. And then I always have a physical book on the go at the same time, but it's a little bit harder to sit and read. So I read a lot during night shifts at work when it's, a little bit quiet. It's a good time to read. One of the guys the other day, he's like, "You always have a book." I'm like, "Yeah." And another one's like, "Is that a different book than last time?" Yeah, I'm a nerd. What can I say? I'm okay with it. I just really love stories. And I wanted to share some of the favorite books that I read or listened to last year. And then I'll share the ones I've read so far this year. So I have a list. Check this out. This is a list of my favorite books of last year. So I'll put covers up here too. So I'm very visual. I like to see what the covers look like because sometimes I pick books just because they have pretty covers. I don't even read like the synopsis of the story because I don't care because it has a pretty cover. I know that sounds really shallow, but anyway, number one, it probably starts with the most recently finished and then, the oldest that I finished. So the first one was The Dutch House by Anne Patchett. It's my first Anne Patchett and I really loved it. And the kicker is that I did the audio version and it was read by Tom Hanks, which made it, so much better. So The Dutch House by Anne Patchett, loved it. The Inheritance Games is a 4-book series. So far there's 4 books. I don't know if there's a new one coming out, but it's Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And it's a little bit, I think YA maybe, but I just loved it. It was very interesting. It was the stories. I don't know. If people are creative with their storylines, I always give it like a zillion points because I don't know how people think up these things. And it's a very smart book. Not like Da Vinci Code smart, but it's very interesting. And it's definitely starting to snow. It looks like white out. So I was going to drive to Ottawa today to go return that yarn, but I'm glad I didn't go. Because I would have been stuck in this. It's like a blizzard. Anyway, The Almost Widow is by Gail Anderson Dorgatz. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. And that was another one that I listened to. It takes place like in BC, in Canada, which, I always get excited when it's a book about Canada, about my home. So it's kind of a thriller, mystery thriller type thing. And it was very, very good. So definitely recommend that. The Last Bookshop in London by Madeline Martin. It's a historical fiction. It's the last bookshop in London in World War II times. So that was good. This is more of like an information book. It's called Balance Your Hormones and Balance Your Life by Claudia Welsh. Very good. It kind of opened the door for me. I think I talked about it maybe in one of my past episodes earlier in the year. It was kind of a gateway into reading a bunch of books about food and nutrition and health and all that stuff. So that was like my gateway book. But it's a very good, if you're a woman of a certain age, you should read this book. So it's over here. That was a physical book that I own and I scribbled all over it. Frankenstein. I decided I kind of like reading classics. So I decided to read Frankenstein, and I don't know, we hear all these little stories since we were growing up, right, about the monster Frankenstein. But it was really a sweet story. So if you've never read Frankenstein, I recommend it. And it's written by a woman, which is kind of cool also. Hollow Kingdom by Kira Jane Buxton. This was a hilarious book. I died laughing so much while I was listening to this book because it's written in the perspective of a crow who's a pet, like he's a human's pet. And it's a little bit reminding, like it reminded me a little bit of The Walking Dead. But it's like people become zombies because of their tech, right? Anyway, it's hilarious. I recommend it. And the insults in this book, oh my God. Like I want to buy a hard copy so I can just highlight all the really good zingers. Anyway, The Green Mile. It's so good. I had read it before when it came out, and it came out in 6 little booklets, like in 6 installments in the 90s when Stephen King wrote this. It came out in 6 books. Now it's probably a full book, but I remember reading it back then, and I reread it, and I still love it. And the movie is so good. Like the adaptation of the book is really good. The next one is The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek. Not Creep, Creek. The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek by Kim Michelle Richardson. And there's a follow-up, which is The Bookwoman's Daughter. I believe this is also historical fiction in the States, the rural areas of somewhere in the States. Anyway, it was also very good. The Extraordinary Life of Sam Hill by Robert Degoni. This was a recommendation from my friend Michelle, and thank you, Michelle. I really enjoyed that book. The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. Loved that book too. Also one of those that made me laugh and cry. It's like I ran the gamut of emotions when I listened to that book, so definitely recommend. A Town Called Solace by Mary Lawson. It's a small place in Ontario, up in Northern Ontario. So again, it's about, you know, my home. And I believe the author is Canadian, and it was a book that Selma from Little Big Knits recommended. And I put it in my want to read lists, and I listened to it, and it was wonderful. So this is the first book that I finished this year, The Spoon Stealer by Leslie Crew. It's a wonderful, wonderful book. I'm definitely going to read more by her. Yeah, so that was my first one. I actually read most of it in 2023, but it's the first one I finished this year. And then this one, also borrowed from Leanne. Book Lovers. I read her Happy Place. I listened to Happy Place a couple weeks ago and really loved that one, and I really loved this one as well. So definitely recommend if you're into like cheesy romance. But it's funny because she, in the prologue, she basically makes fun of all these romance novels, right? And like how cringy some of them are and how predictable they are, and she makes fun of it, and then she writes a romance novel. So very funny. The other one that I finished is a Brené Brown, Daring Greatly. I listened to that book, and that's the one I'm going to trade with my friend Allie, because I want the physical book so I can go in and highlight it. And the audiobook that I'm currently reading is Ordinary Monsters. And so far, so good. I just started it. It's a long one. It's 25 hours of audio. So it's going to take a while, but looks like I'm not leaving the house for the next couple of days. So never know, I might get finished. So my reading goal for this year is not 117 books. I think I set my goal at 52, which is 1 book a week, I think, which is definitely doable. I'll probably blow the doors off that goal, but that is a more reasonable goal than last year. So I think that's it. I think I'm gonna go do some knitting, maybe do some dishes. And yeah, I hope everybody had some nice holidays. I hope you enjoyed it, got to see some family. This holiday season was a little bit tough for us, for my family, because we lost my dad and my stepdad last year. So Christmas really sucked. Christmas and New Year's, right? It's like, it was the first one without both of them. So I worked most of it, and I just tried to pretend it was a regular weekend. I also decided that I wanted to see my extended family more often. That the whole, you know, family gathering stuff has been kind of falling away. We used to have tons of family gatherings every year for every occasion you could think of, right? But we haven't done that in years. I know COVID had an effect on a lot of people's get-togethers, but I basically told everybody, like, we're gonna start getting together again because I don't want to see you guys only at funerals. And that's kind of the stage of life that I'm entering at this point. I'm getting older and the older people are getting older, so I don't want to see my loved ones only at funerals. So that's, I'm not a New Year's resolution person, but that was definitely one of my goals for next year, for this year, I guess. Other than that, I didn't make any resolutions. Did you? You guys believe in resolutions? Goals that you set for the year? Let me know. I'm interested. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm gonna go do some other stuff. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Nice weekend. Nice January. Okay, stop talking. Go make something. I'll talk to you soon.